Hello, good day. I'm Cindy van der Elze, Change Management Consultant at McCoy Partners. At McCoy, we are proud to have established the Change Ambassador Network, a unique initiative that brings together employees from diverse areas of expertise. For any SAP consultant, incorporating change management initiatives in their work can benefit them, their clients, and the various implementation challenges at hand. Today, I'm pleased to introduce Leonie Jansen van Rensburg, one of our dedicated change ambassadors. Our focus in this McCoy TV will be on a critical topic for any organization implementing SAP SuccessFactors: driving user adoption. While SuccessFactors offers powerful tools for HR transformations, its full impact depends on the extent to which teams adopt and integrate these tools into their daily work. In this Q&A with Leonie, we will discuss the practical strategies to strengthen user adoption, ensuring that your organization can unlock the full potential of SuccessFactors. So, Leonie, based on your experience with SAP SuccessFactors, what do you think is most critical for driving user adoption?
I think one of the biggest barriers in driving user adoption is really personalizing the why for the end user. Usually the decision to implement SuccessFactors is taken by HR and IT executive teams, and they've got a clear reasoning on why they want to select SuccessFactors, but you do need to personalize it to the different employee groups, making them understand what is the benefit that they will get from implementing SuccessFactors. So a practical tip I've used in 2 of my implementations has been the project team have selected names for the system that strategically links to the why, and we got the whole organization to vote on a name for the system. In that way, you involve people from the beginning in the project. They feel they've got like a say in it, and it's also a way to remind them about the why when they start using the system.
Yeah, so really explaining and telling the why and the purpose of changing is important and critical. Besides that, we also do sometimes a change management strategy and implement that within the projects. Do you feel a change strategy is important for user adoption, and what elements are then important in your opinion?
Yeah, I think a change strategy is vital because I think a lot of times people are focusing on a technical implementation, and when it gets to, oh, should we train the users, then people start thinking about what should I train? But if you start from the beginning and incorporate a strategy when you start a project, it will be much more impactful. So what I personally like to do is to first understand, do a high-level impact analysis to see how big is the change to the organization. Are you changing a system? Are you changing a process? Are you changing a way of working? What is the real objective of doing this project? And based on that change impact analysis, then it's really important into focusing on this why, developing a powerful change story that's personalized to different employee groups, selecting an influential sponsor, clear communication and training.
Yeah, so I also hear a lot of involving people, let's say, within the change strategy. So also, how do you then engage and involve the end users in the end throughout the project? Also creating the buy-in, making sure that they participate in the project?
I think traditionally when you start a SuccessFactors implementation, you usually have key users from the HR department that's representing a process, and they are usually designing the system, but I think it will be much more powerful if you actually have some of the different key users that represents the different employee groups in the organization helping you design the process. So if you include those type of employees in your design phase, they help you co-create the solution, and they can also help you with the user acceptance testing. Then another tip would be to provide training to these users before the testing so that you can also test your training strategy to see if it's effective and really helps people using the system. Then these selected key users becomes your change ambassadors that helps you drive the change throughout the organization. However, you cannot always involve everyone, but you can definitely keep them updated on the progress and continuously communicate to them.
Yeah, so making, let's say, a strategy of onboarding a changed agent network or key users is part of how you are involving, in the end, all the end users. But what about leadership itself? What role does leadership then plays in driving user adoption?
I think leadership plays a very important role. Firstly, let's start with the sponsor. I think traditionally people become a project sponsor because they have a certain position in the organization. But I think it's more important to select someone that has a lot of power within the organization and can really make a big impact. So maybe if you look at your executive team, you may need to evaluate who will really be the best sponsor, who will really help you drive change. So if you've got this person on board, they can select the vision, they can drive the vision for the project to the business objectives. So if they understand what the system will bring to them and how it can help them drive the business objectives, then it will be really powerful in driving user adoption because it becomes really relevant to all end users on why you are changing. Then, of course, another group that's also sometimes forgotten is your middle management, your people managers. These people are between the executives making the decision and the end users using the system. So they will also be the first people that will hear about any resistance and get questions. So it's very important to support them throughout the change. So prepare them, brief them, provide info packs to them, and really hold their hand throughout the change.
Yeah, I fully agree there. You should not forget about the management layers and their impact, let's say, on user adoption. Yeah. And you also mentioned something about communication and training. So how does communication help you in driving user adoption in a project?
I think communication is everything, but it should also be relevant. So it's very important to look at an organization to see what communication channels they use. For example, if you have a group of employees that do not have access to email, and email will not be effective. So you should really look at the different groups, find the best channels to communicate to them. Then obviously your messages should be very clear and bite-sized. Nobody wants to read pages and pages of information. Just tell them what they need. Another important thing is if you can have a feedback loop that people can actually communicate back to you. So if you can create a culture that's psychologically safe for people to provide their questions, then you know what you manage. But if you don't have that feedback loop and you're just having one-way communication, you don't really know, is it making an impact? What am I really facing? Until you implement a system. So I think two-way communication is really vital.
Yeah, so making sure you have the correct channels enabled, but also making it a two-way channel where people feel, let's say, they can communicate with their direct managers, also making that part of your change strategy. Yeah, and what about training? So how important is training then still for user adoption?
I think training is really important because it's taking your users from why am I changing to how to use the system. So even if people are very excited, if you don't give them proper training and they are frustrated with the system, then of course it's not going to be a successful change. I think a pitfall that's usually made in SuccessFactors implementations, or that people are only focusing on system training, where if you had an environment where people usually just emailed HR questions or call them, and you're now expecting them to do self-service, they should also be equipped in the process, the policies and the procedures. So I think the training should really be end-to-end, really explaining why are you doing it, and not just, hey, click a button, approve, but what are you approving? Are you allowed to approve it? And that will be more powerful because then people really see the bigger picture, as the system is the tool for implementing your HR strategy.
Yeah, great. Really helpful, these insights, Leonie.
Yeah, so I really feel personalizing the why, having an influential sponsor, equipping your people managers with also a clear communication strategy targeted at different employee groups, and end-to-end training will really drive user adoption and of course involving end users from the beginning.
Thank you, Leonie, and thank you for joining us today. We've explored the key factors that contribute to successful user adoption and how to overcome common challenges. Remember, change isn't just about introducing something new. It's about ensuring that the people who will be impacted feel prepared, supported, and motivated to embrace it. I hope today's discussion gave you some actionable ideas to apply in your own organization. If you can take anything away from this, it's that change management is all about people. So let's make sure we're setting them up for success.